how many of you in your life right now feel a little bit uncertain about at least 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 7, 8, 9, 10 things? Yeah, there's a lot going on right now. And we have to learn how to navigate that uncertainty, because there's a place in all of us that want to feel certain. We want to know the next step. We want to feel good. I love to plan. So, you like things, a certainty about that. Unfortunately, our journey is not fixed. Change is the only constant. So we have to learn how to deal with uncertainty. And what James was singing about, those are the truths, the spiritual truths that we stand on. That right there, what you talked about, what we already have right here, right now, always within us, that spark of the divine, that spark of goodness, that love, the peace is already there. But when we don't have enough faith, remember we just read about faith? When we don't have enough of that trust and faith and the goodness and the potential that is already there, we'll find ourselves bouncing around in an uncertain world. Which, as Dave said, that uncertainty is wanting us to grow and expand and find new beginnings. There's an upside to uncertainty, but not when we're holding on to the steering wheel so tight. We want to know every single place we're going and what's going to happen. We need to be able to breathe in, trust life, and get back to the principles that we know, the truths that we've studied, whether you've taken classes or you're in going deeper or whatever you're doing, or you just come to Sunday service, or if it's your first time, we just told you what we are. We know that we've got the spark of spirit within us. We need to be able to balance the uncertainty of this physical world that is always changing and turning around and doing things we aren't sure of. We need to balance that with a certainty of the presence of God's goodness and love and peace that is always within us. If we boil down the problem of not being able to deal with uncertainty, I think it's because not just a lack of faith, but a lack of understanding the truth of who we are, that we live. When we're trying to make so much sense out of a world that's changing all the time, we can close our hearts to protect ourselves. Do you know what I mean? We close it because we want to be safe. We want to take care of things, so we close our heart. But if our heart is closed, we're looking through such a limited lens, we're always going to be bouncing around. I think if we're feeling uncertain and scared and fearful, we need to open more instead of closing down. Being open to what's going on, and balance that uncertainty we feel with the knowingness of the inner truths. Because what's real about us is that place of that inner peace and spirit and possibility that lives in us. I think often, Pema Children, just a darling, a Buddhist nun. I've talked about her many times. She's just so fun and funny, and she deals with life head on, but she talks a lot about uncertainty in the world, because so many times we feel like we don't have firm ground to stand on. And she said, I want you to think of the bamboo tree, those majestic trees, the forests of those strong bamboo trees, and how the storms come. But what we don't see is for years before the bamboo grows so tall and strong, it's creating these deep, 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 strong roots. And so when they grow so majestically tall, but they're still thin trees, but the storms come and they can bend and they can be flexible because of these strong roots. And their roots are connected to each other. And isn't that what we talk about, how we need each other to grow and expand in the good times and the tough times? We need to be there for each other. So we need to prime ourselves. And prime ourselves, if you listen to spiritual music, if you open up, isn't it amazing that we can take one of our spiritual books and open it up and the answer will be right there? Or you can listen to Arnold Schwarzenegger, and your answer can be right there. Be useful. I mean, what's more meaningful than when you're feeling off track or uncertain to find out how we can be useful for ourselves? Maybe it's something we need to do for ourselves. Or, even better, go out and do what Henry did. During the time of COVID and a pandemic, a young person that's so lost at that time has such a good grandmother, Nana, that can help guide him to find something meaningful to do. And the same is true for us. Find something that we can do to make life meaningful. We need to, and thank you, Miss Terry Remley, this morning, because one of my main points of finding peace, hope, trust, faith in an unstable world is to be mindful to the moment. And we were sharing some grandchildren pictures this morning, me and Terry. And she said, oh my God, I was having such a crazy morning. It was just busy, 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 and this is busy, and my granddaughter's running out, my daughter's running out, and everybody's crazy. And then my granddaughter runs in and said, oh, we have grapes. If we're not mindful, if we haven't developed the art of mindfulness, which is being in the present moment, and that's where God lives, that's where love lives, that's where possibility lives. If we haven't developed that technique and that art of being mindful to the moment, we're going to miss the grapes. We're going to miss those special little blessings that infuse our life every day, all the time. Spirit is always with us, wanting to cooperate with us. Ernest Holmes says, life, God is always for us. God's will for us is goodness, but we have to cooperate. Remember, the quote we always say is, there's a power for good in the universe greater than we are, and we can use it. It's there for us, but we have to cooperate. You know, we have to reframe our thinking when we realize we're always going, oh, this world is so uncertain, so everything's wrong, nothing's working. You know, that closed heart that says, this always happens to me. This is all there is. There's nothing more. Or the open heart that's always looking for something more. What's the next step? What's the possibility? The question is in that open heart, and that's for us to tap into. So we need to reframe our thinking, because the way we think about something is the way we experience it. Have you noticed that? It's not the other way around. It's not the experiences that make who we are, it's how we think about the experience, what we do. So we have to think of new ways to show up and be in the world. And mindfulness is one of them. Mindfulness brings us flexibility and allows us to let go of that steering wheel. And some of you weren't here for that glorious opening song Gretchen did about the river, but the whole message was in that too. And so I'm just going to give you a little mindful activity. So just put your feet on the floor. Unwrap yourself. You got to be open. Got to be open. If you feel comfortable, just close your eyes and take a nice deep breath with the intention and the deliberate choice to bring yourself into this moment. And imagine that you are standing or sitting beside a serene river, a flowing stream, a babbling brook. And you're just watching. And as you're there, just see what thoughts and emotions that are yours start floating down this river. Now don't jump in, don't dive in the river and catch the thoughts and emotions, but remember, you are the observer. You're not the river, you're not the stream, you're not the brook. You're the observer. And when we can get to that observer mind that happens when we're mindful and in the moment, we can be aware of our emotions, we can be aware of our thoughts, so they don't take us over, but we can respond thoughtfully and consciously to situations instead of reacting without really thinking or being present. Allow that to be a way to get you back into the place of mindfulness and understanding. Take a nice deep breath and bless the river and come back to the room. You know, we need to commune daily with that spiritual practice, whatever it is, of uniting ourselves with that place within, the piece of us that belongs to the universe. We need to unite with that. And Ernest Holmes talked a lot about listening to the whispers of our intuition. Intuition is that inner voice that is the voice of spirit in us, our personal voice of spirit that's right there that we can talk to at any time. Now, oftentimes we wonder, well, is that my mind or is that my heart talking, my intuition? Well, if it's something you know deeply, whether it's your mind, you know, our thought intuition can guide our hearts in what to do, and our heart intuition can guide our minds into what to think. But when you tap into that, I'll tell you, you tap into a wisdom that will make our choices lead us to our highest good. But that comes in the moment. We have to be there. We have to be available to that. So in this moment right now, our call to action, it's a Going Deeper Sunday, is to dig deep. Well, deep, we know where that is. Dig is make the deliberate choice to be present, to be available in this moment, to just make the deliberate choice. I'm here now. Whatever it is to snap you into this moment, be here now. And then dig, deliberate choice, get inspired through your intuition, that inner voice that's guiding you to a better choice, the best action for this moment. Dig, deliberate choice, inspiration, intuition, so it's D-I-I-G, and G, get going. Do it, whatever it is. Taking care of yourself was one of the things you mentioned, Dave. Doing something for someone else, reading your book, communing with spirit, getting your work done for work, whatever it is, do it from the place of digging deep. Now, I asked you today to think of a God quality, either a God quality that you want more of or a human quality you want to let go of, to come up and get the help of our beautiful ministers and practitioners. So, ministers and practitioners, spiritual leaders, please come up here and create a wall of prayer, of truth, a wall of understanding, of rising up to a greater expression of life. We need each other. We need to be here to know the greater truth. I'm going to invite you today to hold the consciousness that what's ever going on in your life right now, that you leave here walking the path of gratitude. Gratitude changes our life. It makes life certain. I'll close with a quote from Pema Chodron. A seeker asked Pema, "How can I find peace amidst life's uncertainties?" And she replied, "Start each day with gratitude. Reflect on the countless gifts life has to offer. The breath you take, the love you share. Focus on the moments that make you smile. Embrace gratitude, and you shall discover peace even amidst the stormiest seas." Today, I bless you with gratitude that we are together on this path of awakening, that we have each other, that we can reach out, we can be love, we can share love, we can be the goodness and the joy that we desire in this world. Thank you for being in my community, our community, this community, where we know the greater truth. And so it is.